We were a Huntingdonshire family, originally from Somerset, but we were Northamptonshire, Huntingdonshire, and then here in the 1950s. But we always had this Dorset estate. We've been kindly described as the nation's finest manor house, and I think that this comes from a convergence of 3 centuries architecturally. The 16th century manor house, the 17th century Civil War period, and then we have the 18th century opening up the house and providing a Georgian facade. So it is an extraordinary blend.
I think on this question of why we were called the nation's finest manor house, I think that one of the things is the seamlessness with which the different centuries merge together in both outside in the front courtyard and in the house. And it appears as if these various centuries of architecture are just kind of subsumed into a whole, which is certainly much greater than each bit of it. And you get this sort of sense of the house going on as it is and as it has been, and we've done very, very little to change it. So what we've done is we've kind of created a time capsule, really.
When my father came here, there was one honesty box for the handful of people who came in to see the garden. And now it's very important that we are encouraging the public to come and support us, because they really literally are helping to keep the fabric of the house going. And we now have 11,000 visitors annually coming into the gardens.
The gardens have lots of different types in them. On the top level you've got this huge great lawn, and then you go down into the beautiful topiary garden of the Fountain Court, which is in this steep Dorset combe, and then down from that to the 2 ponds, and then from there my father-in-law felt that garden wasn't big enough, so he added in another 7 acres of arboretum. What I try to do with the garden is keep everything that should be neat and tidy, and then the rest of it blousy and overflowing and sort of generous. So it's a sort of mixture of a garden. A lot of it is early 20th century, put in by the previous owner of this house, Mrs. Labouchere, and then expanded to double its size by my father-in-law. And we ourselves have done relatively little to change the gardens, but we've changed the style of planting. Most people like this garden very much, but those who want rows of zinnias and marigolds don't like it, because it doesn't have as many flowers as some gardens. On the other hand, it has this most extraordinary sense of mystery, magic and joy in the way that the formal garden is tucked into this steep combe. And people go in and they look and they find the mystery of the place enchanting.
An advantage of getting older is you have grandchildren growing up, and they are delighted in many cases by what they find in the garden, mainly worms and slugs. But
oh yeah, well I like worms and slugs.
We went in search of goldfish yesterday, me and my 2-year-old granddaughter, and the goldfish had been swallowed by some unknown predator. So we had a lot of time explaining that, and then we went to find the real goldfish in the other pond who were there still, so that was all right in the end. I can only hope that we will, or whoever owns the property, will be able to go on looking after it, because I can see no real alternative to what we're doing. There will be different methods, but I think that the tradition has to go on. I don't see how we can invent anything else. The house is not going to fall down. We know very well that although some of it looks a bit fragile, that it's, possible to keep it going if you pay attention to it and make sure you know where the tiles are coming off and the stone is getting weaker.
I'd like in 100 years' time for it still to be this extraordinary sort of lost group of buildings, the house, the stables, the church, the dovecote, the barns, all harmonising together. I hope it'll stay like that.